Hello, another week has rolled in and we're here once again with a fresh package of our personality interview program, Hot Seat. Today on the seat that will maybe probably get hotter later on in the course of the program, we have a personality that you can't afford not to watch this particular episode. Welcome to the program. I'm Tunde Shodeke. We have a personality that you cannot afford to miss on this particular edition of the program. He is Alhaji Ibrahim Abdullahi, a retired civil servant, a Muslim to the core, somebody who practices Islam as at and when due. All this we shall get to know about in the course of this program. Also, we also touch on the state of the nation, Nigeria as it is today. What are we experiencing? Where are we and where are we heading to? Once again, I welcome you, Alhaji Ibrahim Abdullahi, to the program.
Thank you, Tunde.
All right, it's nice having you. Can we begin this way? Let's get to know you, because you are from this part of Nigeria where it is neither categorized as a northerner or a southern state, if I may put it that way, Ilorin, Kwara State to be precise. So can we get to meet you and have a bit of your background?
Thank you very much. My name is Ibrahim Abdullah. I was born on the 7th of March, 1955. I came from Ilorin, Kwara State, and there's no doubt about it that that is part of northern part of Nigeria. There's no controversy about that. I had my primary education between 1960 and 1967, secondary education between 1967 and 1974, joined the Kwara State Public Service 1974, and rose through the ranks, had my degree, that is after serving in the public service for about 5 or 6 years, and obtained my master's degree in early 20s, that is year 2000 to 2001. My field is public administration. I am a member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, rising through the ranks to become an affiliate member, an associate member, a full member, and I became a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, CIPM, in 2008. That's 14 years ago, coinciding with the period I retired from the Kwara State Public Service as a Director of Administration.
Okay, now, we won't be tempted to ask you this question. Your area is public administration. That means you deal more with management of personnel.
Sure.
How can you deploy human resources to have the best of them and also have optimal productivity at the end of the day? How has it been so difficult that personnel management, we are not getting the desired result in Nigeria today?
Yes, there are many factors responsible. For example, as of today, I can tell you that those who are practicing personnel management, over 80% of them in the public service are quacks, because they do not have proper orientation and induction into the public service, even after obtaining the certificate, either in management, personnel management, public administration, what have you. Training and retraining of public servants and even those in the private sector are essential qualities that you give you the type of productivity you deserve, whether in the private sector or in the public sector. In the private sector, training is given prominence, but in the public sector, because of corruption, money set aside for training, most of the time, it's not being used for that purpose. They divert it and use it for other purposes. So selectively, they consider about 5% or 7% of those who should go for training in their various fields into other sources. When there's no financial power to increase the productivity through training and retraining of public servants, what do you get from it? Lack of productivity. I think that's what has been responsible for lack of good performance in management of our resources.
Okay, Alhaji Ilorin, the capital of Kwara State, is renowned to be, possibly, if I may put it that way, give it that appellation as the headquarters of labor movement in Nigeria. When you talk about Pa Michael Imodu, these are people, one of the people that really worked, toiled day and night to make sure that labor movement, civil service as it were, give out his best to the government of the day and the general public as well too. In comparison, civil service of those years and what we have today, will you say they've been able to keep the flag flying from what the likes of Pa Michael Imodu left or passed on to those that came after them?
I'll say no categorically, because what has not been part of public service system in terms of influence has been part of it now. Politics was not supposed to be part, or it's not supposed to be part of human resources management, public service system, but unfortunately, because of the influence of politics into the system, people who are not due for certain positions are given, even in the public service, making those who are subordinate come and be the bosses of those who are their superiors. What do you get from there? Disenchantment, inefficiency, and inability to deliver on the mandate. So that is one of the reasons, politics. Two, I've talked about training being essential part of getting the type of productivity required. That's the second reason. Third reason is the financial power to do what is right is not being given a place of prominence. When those who are at the top in the ministries or parastatals spend the junk of money, I can say 85% of the money meant for services such as incentive to the workers in terms of allowances, giving encouragement to them in terms of allowing them to develop on their own, even allow implant training. If they can't go outside for training, an implant training could improve their productivity, but they deny them all this. I can tell you categorically that the reason for ineffectiveness, inefficiency, and lack of delivery on the mandate is due to political influence, which has eaten up large chunk of the financial resources that will have been used to promote the manpower in the system.
Okay, but the political class couldn't have achieved this on their own without the connivance of the civil servants.
That is true. I can tell you that directors, permanent secretaries are guilty. Some of them, I would say most of them, are guilty of this because they influence the political office holders because of their own personal interests. I'll give you an example. When a governor gets to position, he needs the legislature to assist him to achieve the goals. While there and he's serving, there is a provision, for example, I want to divert to that area for you to get me right. There's a provision in the Constitution, I can't remember the actual place in the Nigerian Constitution, that when a governor is leaving office after a term or two terms, that of 8 years, House of Assembly could meet and determine the package to be given to their governors when it's leaving after 8 years. The governor himself is the one that normally prepares this package and gives it to the majority leader of the legislature and call the Speaker of the House. That majority leader will present this. Ask him what is contained in this package. I can tell you about half of the governors in Nigeria have presented similar packages to their legislature in which they are asked to be given 4 vehicles, about 20 or 12 domestic staff, a monthly allowance of certain millions of naira, building a house for that governor in that state capital, another one in Lagos or in Abuja. These are the packages. Legislature would not waste any time in approving this for the governor, because there's another provision which takes care of them. They call it severance package. So when a speaker is leaving the legislature after 4-year term, a calculation of about 50 million or 80 million or 100 million is as being severance package. Members of the House will take about 80 or 85% of similar amount of money. They are giving this money because it's rub my back, I rub your back, that they do. And that is why, in Zamfara State in particular, the governor that left office wanted to move to the Senate. And after moving to the Senate, there has been a package agreed upon that the governor should be given 30 million every month. The current governor, Mutawale, insisted that I won't give him this money. He didn't stop at that. He enacted a bill of his own to quash the approval given to Yari when he was in the office. Up to today, Mutawale, the governor of Zamfara, has not paid 30 million naira each month to that particular person. I've gone to that extent to explain how bad Nigeria is today. So when a commissioner comes into the system, assistant directors, and deputy directors, they move close to the permanent secretary to let the commissioner know that this is what they do, this is how they do it. So they do whatever they believe will pay them. If commissioners take 100 naira, the permanent secretary will take 75 naira, directors will take 50 naira, 40, 35, and so on. That's how those who are in the top in public service got to spoil the political office holders.
So you can't exonerate the civil service. You can't
exonerate the public servants, especially those from the assistant director upwards.
So at what point did Nigeria derail to this level that corruption is so endemic today that very minimal can be done to remove it from the society?
Yes, it started when those who are at the topmost level started demanding for what they are not entitled to. I won't mention the president who served first term, second term, and he was working towards third term agenda. A legislator in the upper echelon of the nation's legislature had to work towards amending the constitution that if a president has performed well in the first and second term, nothing stops him from going on the third term. And as at that time, payment electronically has not been so common the way it is today. You all remember the issue of Ghana Must Go, containing 50 million in the legislature, by each of the legislature, which was later quashed. We were lucky to have somebody like the best president, I would say, that should have come from Igbo land, and that is Senator, I can't remember his name now. If I remember, I will let you know. He stopped the issue of third term agenda. If the person who is number one citizen of the country attempted to go on second term by bribing the Senate and possibly a member of the House of Representatives, no, it didn't get through. There were other things that were taking place that he condoned. So if such a thing is operating at the national level, what do you believe? We operate at the state level.
So, Alhaji, you are inferring now that the civil service fared better under military era?
Yes, because there was a bit of discipline that time. The military governors, though they do their own thing the way they do it, but the fear of being military was in the heart of the public officers at the topmost level, intermediate, and at the lower level. But nobody checks anything again in Nigeria as of today. People do what they like.
Okay, we'll come back to talk more about corruption level in Nigeria, how it can be tamed or how it can be minimized to the various level. Now, let's now go properly into the state of the nation.
Okay.
I'm sure Nigeria of today is not the Nigeria you dreamt of some 15, 20 years ago when you were in service, even when you were in secondary school.
Sure.
Starting from that point. But today, insecurity has really taken the larger chunk of our public space in Nigeria today. Hardly can anybody travel either by the three main means of transportation successfully in Nigeria today, by air, by rail, and by road, without having to have a proper check of what is happening. How do you get police escort or what have you to be able to embark on that journey? Now, the level of insecurity in Nigeria today is not what we bargained for. What will be your take here that we can actually address this issue?
Number one, we have to start from the scratch. Like the Yoruba proverb which says, those who are at the top, we should not look at the top, but we should look from the beginning, how it started. So I can't remember the proverb now, so just let's leave that.
I was waiting for you. Maybe you say it in Yoruba before we nail you that you said Kwara is northern state.
Yes.
But I know that you are part of us here.
Kwara State is a miniature Nigeria. You have every tribe existing in that state.
Okay.
That's why we call it the state of harmony. Now, our problem started from home. In the past, parents, guardians take responsibility over whatever happens in various settings. The family unit is the smallest aspect of the society. Everybody take care of his children through education, through character molding, and all sorts of things. But modernization has changed the society. The type of liberty that exists in European countries has crippled into our system in Africa. Because of the normal way we have trained our children to give them some level of liberty, the liberty has moved to a stage of copying the culture of the English people, where you give too much liberty to those in the family settings. So a large number of our children who interact with large number of other children from big homes have got to learn or imitate the character of those who are from big homes. We gradually started losing the values and culture of proper upbringing of children. Now in our society, we can correct the children of other people when we see them misbehaving or doing something wrong. Modernity and civilization that has come today, especially from the women, they control their husbands. The type of control they exercise in the home has graduated to the extent that if anybody dare corrects any child of anybody within the geographical location or vicinity of where they are, such a woman will not wait for her husband to come. You go and warn the person who had dealt with the child over the misbehavior. We started losing it from that angle. Gradually, from the elites who lost control of their children, to the poor people who ignore the proper training of their children because of lack of money, to those who are in governance who never recognize the fact that there are some less privileged people who could not train their children, who could not give sound education to their children, especially in the northern part of Nigeria, for them to have social programs that will take charge of the responsibility of educating these children, bringing them up in proper manners, and so on and so forth. They now became beggars, alumajiri. Those who have not turned to be that, they join the Yahoo group, they join the bad groups in the society. So those who are threatening the peace of the country, doing banditry, creating insecurity, abducting people, are from those who are from the bad homes and lost out in the school, and those who pass out of the school could not gain employment, turn all these nefarious activities into business. That's how we lost it in the area of security. We also lost it in not putting our securities in proper shape. Talk of NSCDC, the police, the intelligence, the army, the navy, the air force, and all whatnot. Let's ask them, what is the numerical strength of each of the security units we have in the country today? Since 2015, it has been known that put together both the military, that is the army, the navy, the air force, you can't count up to 500,000 people. We are over 200 million. In the police today, you cannot count up to 1 million in the police system. And they are supposed to be more than the military because they are to be distributed, posted to all local governments, 774 across the whole country. The government has been paying lip service to recruitment of the police. I'm aware that the administration that is there now started recruitment when President Buhari came into office. 3rd year later, when they observed that the numerical strength was getting low, common recruitment of 10,000 policemen for our system took 2.5 years. Why? Because of certain interest, because of certain control. Later, there was disagreement between the Police Service Commission and the IG as an authority. If I were Mr. President, I would have fired either of the two. Either fired IG, that he should remember that he's an employee of the Police Service Commission. He cannot direct the commission. But the Police Service Commission too must follow due process. It is on record that level 1 to 6 of police setup should be taken by the IG. It is his responsibility. Level 7 and upwards is the responsibility of the Police Service Commission. But no IGP has that right to take on the Police Service Commission and fight it to the level of going to court in establishing a right where my president exists.
Okay, I like you.
This is supposed to have been resolved. It was not resolved for 2.5 years.
And it's affecting the security of the nation.
Is this a nation?
Okay, I like you.
A serious nation will not allow such a thing to occur. We are not talking of insecurity. How far have they solved the problem of the numerical strength of the police? That is not enough.
Okay, I like you touched on
you are surprised that there is insecurity. It will continue to be unless we address the issue.
All right.
That's just an issue about security.
You touched on it.
Alone.
You touched on it briefly.
Yes.
But I want you to take a second look at that aspect of it.
Okay.
The economy. Of course, we all know that globally now, economy is on the downturn because of so many extraneous factors, like you have the Russia-Ukraine war, which is affecting so many things out there, and some other things like the climate change and what have you. Now, the economy of this nation too needs a complete rejig in a way that you talk, like I said, you touched on it before. When people graduate, they could have their energy diverted or the knowledge gained in school diverted at a particular occupation or work, so that they will be gainfully employed and they can contribute meaningfully to the development of the country. Now, the economy isn't that buoyant. Nigeria is in serious, we have been going on serious borrowing. The debts keep mounting day in, day out. Now, if this is not solved, then insecurity will still be an issue that we cannot completely minimize.
Thank you very much. The responsibility of giving employment is that of the government, the private sector, and the community at large. But those who have responsibility, greater responsibilities, are the federal government, the state, and the local government. Do you know why they are not integrating people into the service? Because chief executive of each state knows what he wants every month, knows what he spends on way bill every month, both on state and local government workers. He knows his own needs too, legally or illegally. Because they don't want the wage bill to be high, they issue circular to embargo employment. People retire from state public service. Hundreds of people, thousands of people leave the local government service after being due. What happens to the job they have left? They refuse to bring people in because they don't want increase in the wage bill. They know if the wage bill is high, they won't be able to take 500 million they take monthly for security votes. And those who take more than that exist in this country among our governors. So all this type of problem are made. We don't have the check and balances on how each governor spend the money that is generated and the one that is allocated from Abuja. People do what they like in the position. A very active governor in South, I can tell you that he has executed over 5,000 projects since he gets to the position over 7 years ago. If you get to know what has happened to employment in his state, you will be surprised. If you know what has happened to the allowances of workers, you will be surprised. Embargo everything so that he gets enough money to award contracts, do some other thing, not knowing the fact that if you employ people into public service, that money will circulate. Those who are not in the system will get into the system, and at the appropriate time, they will retire. So the bad economy you are talking about, federal, state government, even you don't mention local government, that they are involved in the issue of bad economy, because almost all states have pocketed the local government.
A school of thought recently proposed that local government should even be scrapped completely because of non-performance. Nobody can really lay claim to what has been their contribution to the GDP of this country, to the growth and development of this nation. Where will you pitch your tent here?
I'll pitch my tent with those who says that local government should exist. They have to exist, and their money should go straight to them, instead of having joint account with the states.
So you are advocating
we must
fiscal
commend President
structure.
Buhari for approving that state legislature and the local government should have their allocation direct. But inability to enforce that order through the normal process is making ridiculing the approval that has been given, which is under the law. So we should look for ways to enforce that order. The nation's Attorney General, together with the Federal Executive Council, must see that both the legislature and local government are disentangled from the state.
So Alhaji, you're advocating that there should be a restructuring in terms of physical restructuring.
Sure, it's necessary, because if local government perform as expected, if they perform as expected, even the economic problem we are talking about and infrastructural decay and infrastructural shortages we are talking about, we will not be talking about it. They will have sufficient money to run their local government. And there should be a monitoring system that will ensure that the money of local government are not being illegally amassed. But money of states are being illegally amassed now. Nobody is talking about it. And that is why poverty has continued in our system.
Okay, I did talk about it at the beginning of this program, the issue of personnel management, man-made management of resources in such a way that you could get the optimal productivity from every individual, every worker that has been deployed into one area or the other. Now, when you talked about state executives not employing people, now you belong to that institution that has the right to call them to order, to let them know that if the right people, people are not being employed and the right people deployed to the right areas, then there could be economic downturn, there could be dwindling of performance of that state in terms of whatever you can think of.
As professionals, all we could do is to encourage each state to ensure that those who are in charge of personnel management are made to be members of the charter. And we have that law within the Nigerian system that gives CIPM the mandate for the control and management of the affairs of human resources practitioners in Nigeria. But all the states in Nigeria, not all of them are responding to our call that even those who have not registered with Charter for Personnel Management of Nigeria should not be regarded as real professionals until they have our certificate as being members, like the MBA, like the ICANN. All of them have members who cannot practice except they are well registered as members. So all we could do is to advocate to the states that these are your responsibilities in respect of membership of our institute. Next is the fact that drawing their attention to the economic implication of embargoing appointment into the system, that they are destroying the economy, because in the long run, money that is not spent on human resources for development is being diverted. They have too much money to divert into their pockets. So we look forward to seeing a system. If our anti-graft agencies are working well, and the masses in Nigeria, irrespective of the state they come from, are ready to come out openly with strong evidence of legal acquisition of wealth by those in authority at the state level, I'm sure the anti-graft agencies are ready to work, though they are now being demoralized with the so-called prerogative of mercy being given at the federal level. People commit crime as governors. Evidence were presented. After serving, because of immunity, they didn't arrest them, and after serving, they got arrested, tried in the court of law, jailed for committing economic crime. They appealed. After being jailed to the Court of Appeal, they lost. They appealed to the Supreme Court, they lost. They must serve their terms completely. Any prerogative of mercy that allow criminals who have served in any position, not only governors, to be forgiven, will encourage more economic crimes in the country. So we should not use political consideration to set people free. You should do that for economic crimes. You do that for political crimes. You do that for criminal activities. the nation turns into a jungle. So we must stop doing that if we are serious about making Nigeria great.
Okay, now you have really talked a lot about the state of the nation, politics as it were. But one may be tempted to conclude that possibly you are of the political class, possibly you are a politician too, or something of that nature. But now the question I would like to ask you next is, what do you make of the democratic experience in Nigeria? We are approaching another election year. The politicians are moving around the nation to canvass votes. Those that want to occupy offices at the national level, at the state level also, they are moving around their states to also seek vote from the electorate. Now, Nigeria's democracy, would you say, is getting mature the way it should be?
Let me start by answering this your question by confirming to you that I'm not a politician, but I'm interested in making Nigeria great. I abhor cheating. I dislike injustice, and I want my nation to be ruled properly. Presently, we don't have good people manning our affairs in the country. I can say we have dealers, not leaders. So, democracy, our experience in Nigeria so far has been too bad. Some of the reasons I've given you. One of them is illegal acquisition of wealth by the politicians who are put in office.
Well, let me interject you there. You say our democracy is not moving on the right track. Is it because the electoral process is faulty in a way, or the political class has decided not to make the democracy work?
Our democracy is not working well. First, because we have a constitution that allows corruption to flourish. I'll give you an example at the commencement of this program. How could our constitution allow state assemblies to meet and determine package to be given to a governor for serving 2 terms? How on earth must we allow that? Each of the governors, none of them get less than 350 million monthly as security votes. Or that,
can you substantiate that? Because,
yes, it's a fact.
Okay.
A state in South takes 780 million monthly. And governor exercises his right on this vote the way he likes without accounting for it. Then let's ask the security apparatus in each of those states, how much do they take from the governor on a monthly basis, even if they are assisting the security agencies that are from federal? How much do they give them? Very small amount of money compared to what is taken. I'm telling you, that provision in that constitution must go. No governor should be giving any package for serving for 8 years. Why serving? Illegally and legally, he has taken a lot of money. Service should be the main purpose of going into politics or going into governance. For now, it's no longer service. Those who want to be in government want to be there to acquire money illegally by what we have seen so far. And Constitution allows it. In a state, 100 million was approved for a governor after serving. And that governor moves to the Senate. He continues to collect that money monthly. In Samfara, I told of 30 million, which Yari was asking for, which Muftawali said, no, it was an error for the legislature to have approved this for you. So I can say our democracy is not working for many reasons. One of them is the constitution that has a lot of flaws. I've just given you one example. So the second example is that of electoral law, which is being amended. Now that it's being amended, yes, it might put us on the right track. Third is the fact that even from the national level, President Buhari has served for 7 years. He must have seen a lot of flaws in our constitution, in our electoral laws, other than the one being proposed by Nigerians and the legislators themselves. He, as a person, must have prepared a bill for amendment of certain aspects of our constitution in order to make our democracy work. I'll give you another example. Today we have criminality, all sorts of criminalities in Nigeria. Murder, banditry, abduction, and all whatnot. Several condemned people are in our correctional centers. Most of them have killed people. That's why they were condemned to death. And most of them lost their appeal up to Supreme Court level. I can tell you that other than former governor of Edo State, Adam Oshiomhole, who ordered that all those that have been confirmed to have committed murder and they've been condemned to death, they should bring their papers. He signed it. Since then, none of our governors across the federation are ready to sign the death warrant of those that have been condemned.
So, it does infer
so
that
from European countries, they are now criticizing capital punishment and we are listening to them. The problem we are facing here, they are not facing it there. Anybody that is guilty, biblically, of killing people must be killed. Quranic injunction also says that if you kill people, they should kill those people who have killed them.
So it does.
We pretend to be religious, and we have abandoned the teachings of the Quran and the Bible.
So one can deduce aptly that institutions in Nigeria are not working.
That's it. You have now agreed with me that our democracy is not working. Democracy that has not enforced the judgment delivered by the court of law. I had been expecting Mr. President to call on all the 36 state governors and to ask them to bring the list of those that have been condemned to death and are in their various correctional centers. We want to know the highest number of people. Is it 50 in Edo, 30 in Zamfara? Is it 10 in Ogun, 40 in Lagos? Mr. President cannot order them. He can only admonish them that by the time you are taking office with the Holy Quran or with the Bible, you are saying that you are going to conform with the law. I can tell you that you are not conforming with the law, and this is not within my purview. Those of you who have condemned people in various correctional centers and you refuse to sign the death warrant, doesn't matter whether you were there by the time they were committing the offense or the time they were sentenced or not. You have inherited assets with liabilities. Unless we order the elimination of those who are committed offense and been condemned to death, criminality will continue to flourish in Nigeria. And that is why it is the basis for jailbreak that you are seeing across the country. You know, in the last 2 years, we've been facing it. You can count up to 8 across the country where our correctional centers have been broken into. And in those cases, it's not 10 people that have run away. Those that have absconded are in thousands, I can tell you. Remember what happened in Edo?
Okay, yeah. Alhaji, I think one of the reasons or one of the factors that could have nipped this in the bud is for the government to make the education industry to be flourishing, to be vibrant, so that there won't be any interruption or whatsoever.
Okay.
But today, what we are saying is a different scenario.
Okay.
Federal government and NASU not coming to the table to agree on what should be the template for running education.
An end to that very soon, by God's grace. I can assure you, this week is a week of decision on the matter. The president has ordered the chief of staff, who is a diplomat, who is an ambassador, who is also an academic by orientation, to look into the matter and get the matter settled.
You sound so confident that maybe because it's from your state.
Not that. I have seen a threat to instability in Nigeria. If ASU FG imbroglio is not resolved within the next 1 week or two. Students are threatening that there will be no primaries in Abuja. Labor unions are saying that they are going to join them in making primaries impossible in the nation's capital. Workers are saying that they are going to join their labor union to ensure that there should be education in Nigeria, that students must return to
Should we have gotten to this crossroad?
We shouldn't have gotten there. But we have a leader with integrity, with honesty, who lacks the right caliber of people working with him in the system. Those who are manning certain sectors of our leadership do what they like, and they go back to report that this is what is going on, this is what we have said. In such a situation, I would think that leadership is a collective responsibility. It doesn't matter if I'm Minister for Communication. I'm supposed to have peeped into what is going on in education on ASU. It doesn't matter if I'm charged as the Minister of Transportation. Aside from the fake meeting of Wednesday, I can raise a matter of observation that this particular issue, Mr. President, I want us to look at it from another angle, because the way the labor and education ministers have been addressing this issue has not provided the solution. We have a better idea to sell, and jointly you will resolve the matter and it will get resolved. I think that's what the government has seen now by asking the Chief of Staff, who has a very wide experience in academics, in public administration, in diplomacy, and international administration, to look into the matter. I'm very hopeful. Okay, Mr. President will not want Nigeria to go into crisis of another protest, which will be a child play to end such crisis.
Okay, leadership has always been the bane of the African continent. Having the right leadership that will pilot and
the affairs of the country,
and take the followership on the right path to development. But that has always been a recurring decimal in Africa, that we don't get to have that right leadership. You are a personnel management expert. If you are to propose to make a position paper on such issue, what would be your position here?
My position, I was exchanging ideas with a friend when I was coming to this studio. And my idea is that we lost it in Nigeria when political party will fight for candidates to get elected as chairman of local government, as governors, as president, and so on. Once they are elected, those in various offices take that office as being their own personal responsibility to rule. Where they share ideas, they share their own ideas. That's what I've seen with the executive, some members of the executive within the cabinet. In Nigeria today, there is dichotomy between the political party and the governors that have been put in position. Once the governor gets elected, if he likes, he takes some members of the party into the cabinet. If he doesn't like, he does whatever he likes. Political party executive became beggars, asking governor whatever he's going to do for them. Whether he does it or not, they'll be waiting for another term. Unless we weave our administration at local government, at state, and at national level to the political party that got them elected into our governance, we can't have solution. I remember during the Second Republic, the political party that won in Nigeria at that time was the National Party of Nigeria, where President Sheikh Shagari was the president. He knew he was just head of government. He was to implement the party mandate, the party manifesto. Shagari was not ruling without Akinloye, Chief M.A. Akinloye from Oyo State, who was the national chairman of the party. Akinloye will not give any order without discussing it at the National Working Committee of the party or the National Executive of the party. Let our governor tell us who they relate with within their state political party, that this is what we promised the people and that is what we are delivering to them. Executive of the party in each state of the federation are contented with the fact that we are the executive of the party. When they see the governor, they discuss about their own personal problems with them. They are not even thinking of those that have worked for them, for the governors to get elected, and now they are going to compensate them. There is dichotomy between the party and governance, and that is why I believe mandate is not being delivered. Let all parties know that they have the responsibility, from the president up to the governor, up to those who are in the Senate and House of Representatives. They are our servants. If they do well, we call them our leaders. If they are not doing well, they remain servants who are not doing well. The idea of ruling us without recourse to the political party upon which they got to that office, they should know that they are on their own.
Okay, Alhaji, we are almost costing them, and just before we draw the curtain, I cannot but ask you this question too. Religious bigotry has divided us the more in Nigeria. At the little excuse people play on religion, and before you know what is happening, it escalated into something else. What would be your candid opinion? When you are mostly, I'm a Christian. Your candid opinion as to what played out recently in Sokoto?
My candid opinion about what played out in Sokoto is that what has happened is un-Islamic, illegal, and criminal. During the life, they accused Deborah Summer of blasphemy. If they are not, these boys and girls who did that, if they are not ignorant of Islam, they will know that those who did not accept Islam in the lifetime of the Holy Prophet were blaspheming him, were blackmailing him, they were insulting him, they were stoning him. Similar thing happened to Prophet Isa, Jesus Christ, when the Jews who believe in Moses never accepted Jesus as being a prophet from God. He too was humiliated. So what did the Holy Prophet do in his lifetime when people were blackmailing and insulting him? He never asked his followers to deal with anybody. And he has called on all the believers that all those who are not on the path that we are, which is the right path, beg God to show them the light so that they can move to the true path. He always pray for those who are attacking him because he knew the message he was holding. If the Holy Prophet will not fight against being insulted, being blackmailed, who are you as a believer in God to want to fight for God or to want to fight for the Holy Prophet? I can say the whole thing is not out of religious intolerance, but out of ignorance and lack of education on Islam. And that is why Muslim organizations and leaders have been condemning it. But to stem the tide of religious fanaticism, intolerance, and ignorance, we all have responsibility. The first responsibility is that Christians and Muslim leaders should stop inflaming the society with provocative statements, provocative postings, and abusive declarations which could provoke the other group. Muslims should not do it. Christians should stop it. That is one. Number two, we have laws on any offense that is committed. As long as we don't have political will to punish people for offense committed, more of that will still be committed. Let our leaders have political will to enforce the law and punish offenses. Part of not punishing offenses, which I've mentioned, is the issue of the condemnation of people to death, which has not been effected. We look forward to doing what is right to reduce crime in our society.
Okay, Alhaji, thank you very much. Alhaji Ibrahim Abdullah has been our guest on this week's edition of the program, All See It, and he has touched on so many issues as it relates to Nigeria, and of course, what possibly could be the way forward as the nation move particularly to the next election in 2023. I must thank you for finding time to be with us and to also share your thoughts with us on the program.
Thank you today.
All right.
I'm pleased to be here.
Okay. Well, it's on that note we'll wrap it up. We'll see you next week, God willing, where we shall come up with another interesting guest on the program. All set. Bye for now.